Cool, thank you for bearing with me. So yeah, this is the demo day for the Spring 2020 cohort, which will be news to them because until now they thought they were called the April 2020 cohort. But unbeknownst to them, we changed the name of their cohort some months ago as we reorganized the pattern of intake at Makers and consolidated coaching themes. So they're now called the Spring 2020 cohort. So welcome to their demo day. Who are these people that we're going to be talking about today? Well, they're a super diverse bunch of people who have come from all different walks of life, but they're united by a passion to learn to code. And that's what they've been doing with us for 12 weeks. 12 weeks have flown by and they've worked super, super hard, going from absolute beginners in some cases to the people that you will see shortly, who have built some really lovely apps over the last 2 weeks. These are them in their own words. Just today we were reflecting on the last 12 weeks and someone said, everyone in the cohort helped each other. Someone else said, really supportive team for the final projects. And another person said, I appreciated the motivation from people given the circumstances we were all in. And these three statements really resonate for me. They've been such a wonderful group of people to work with, really supportive, really open and reflective, and really thinking about how they can improve. And so I'm really happy today to be like handing these people over to you to work with them. I think you'll really enjoy working with them. And now we're here to see what these people have been up to in the last 2 weeks. So in the last 2 weeks, they've been working in teams to build products, build web applications completely of their own design. I have helped them a bit, obviously, as you would expect, but they've worked very independently, and they've overcome the vast majority of their troubles and their blockages on their own. I haven't, for example, run sessions on how to use Rails. One of the teams used Rails and got to grips with that themselves. I haven't run sessions explicitly on C# at all, anything to do with C#. They've got to grips with that on their own. And I haven't run any sessions specifically on how to use Node or how to use Express or how to use handlebars or a ton of other things that people have just picked up themselves over the last few weeks in collaboration with their peers and team members. So I want you to keep that in mind as you're seeing what they've done. But it's not just about 2 weeks. This is about 12 weeks of hard work. And luckily we have a hidden cam to see what's been going on in those 12 weeks. They've been really focused, like really dedicated to learning how to code. Hopefully not really to the exclusion of noticing when things are on fire. But they have been super dedicated. So we're also here to celebrate 12 weeks of hard work. And you're only really seeing the product of the last 2 weeks or a week and a half as they're just presenting that one project to you today. And what else has gone on in the last 12 weeks? This kind of stuff. There's been celebrations, hopefully no actual table flipping, but probably some people wanted to. Sometimes it's felt like constant failure after failure. If you've learnt to code yourself, if it wasn't that long ago, you probably remember how that feels. But there's been a lot of dedication as well, as I said before. People have really dedicated themselves to doing this and really, sometimes stubbornly kept going and fighting to overcome the hurdles that are in their way. And along the way, they've also learned a ton of best practices and really feel passionately about applying those, about doing things like testing, thinking about what makes good quality code, thinking about what makes a good team and how they can improve as team members, all of this stuff. So this is what you're getting now at the end of this. And all of this has been done in the shadow of COVID-19. So while we're here kind of learning how to program, logging into Zoom every day and chatting on Slack, there's all this other pressure around us, which you all experience, right? All of the attendees here today have experienced the same thing. But these people are in the shadow of COVID-19, changing career and doing something which is very, very hard. It's so hard that when Makers was first started, some people thought it was impossible. And so in spite of all that, in spite of all the distractions that we currently face, they've still succeeded. And again, that's super, super amazing. But so what we're seeing today, again, I keep kind of coming back to this, is we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg. We're just seeing the result of maybe 8 or 9 days or something like this work. And I think you'll be impressed as to what they've achieved in that short space of time. But it's not all they've done, and it's not all they've learned. So now the presentations. Here's the running order. So the first team is Avocado, the second team is Mentored, and the third team is Sharpies. Avocado have been thinking about two things simultaneously. They've been thinking about dating, and they've been thinking about food. And they've created a product that brings these two things together to help you find dates partly based on the shared love for specific food types, which sounds like a great idea. I don't know if my partner and I would have met on such a platform, given that I'm vegan and she's definitely not vegan. But maybe we would, who knows? Anyway, I would like to hand you over now to Avocado. Please welcome, perhaps in the privacy of your own home, do some whooping or something. Or I don't know if you can chat. You can probably chat. So feel free to write whoop in the chat and people will see that. Unfortunately, there can't be any real whooping or cheering. We'll just imagine that you're doing that. So Avocado, please share the screen and do your presentation.
Awesome. Thank you, Eddie. Can you stop sharing your screen? I've got
I certainly can do that, yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I'll still share my. Hope everyone can see my screen. Hello, welcome to Team Avocado. In the team we have Kate, Anna, Cassius, and myself, Kabir. So like Eddie mentioned earlier, we wanted to build an app to help people connect with each other. And with lockdown restrictions, the dating scene has taken a bit of a hit. So we decided to build a dating app that focuses on what's important, people's shared love for food. So to help people find their perfect matcher, we are proud to present our app, Plenty of Dish. So before we go into the app itself, I'm just going to talk about our ways of working. So we first held a feature mapping session where we decided on what features to have and how it would integrate together. And then from this, we decided on a minimal viable product, our MVP. Trello was used to store and track tickets. We sized the tickets based on t-shirt sizes, so small, medium, and large, as you can see here. And depending on the complexity of the tasks, we either mobbed, paired, or worked individually on separate branches. We used GitHub for our remote repository, where we reviewed, approved, and merged pull requests, ensuring each pull request had 2 approvals before merging. And meeting-wise, we held daily stand-ups, and with 2-day sprints, we had sprint planning sessions at the start of the sprint and retros at the end of the sprint. And we rotated within the team on who would be hosting that. And we used Miro, the tool here, to take down all our glads, sads, and mads, as you can see. and we took down any actions that we'd want to carry out in the next sprint. Now I'm going to hand over to Anna, who's going to talk through our tech stack.
The main programming language that we use for our application is JavaScript. So we all had just a few weeks experience of writing code in JavaScript, so that was still fairly new to us. Node.js allowed us to build a dynamic and scalable web application, which you will see very, very soon. We used MongoDB as our database. We also successfully deployed our application using Heroku, so at the end of presentation, we expect a lot more people joining it. We also followed test-driven development and used Jest for unit testing and Cypress for integration tests. And lastly, our app would not be as beautiful as it is now without this powerful group. So we used Bootstrap, EJS, Handlebars, HTML, and CSS. Now I hope you're ready to see plenty of dish. So welcome to our application. First things first, we're new here, so let's sign up. We're taking you to our sign up page where we ask you to fill in your name, your email address, and a password. You can pay attention to nice animation we have in our form, just little touches. Let's enter now password and sign up. So as you sign up, you actually receive a nice welcome email from us. So we know who you are and we're happy to have you on board. Let's click on the email, and this lists just some of the next steps for you to do to find your one true love. Just a nice little touch from us. So our app is actually very secure. We use password encryption right here in our database, so no one can ever know your password.
So once a user is signed up, they cannot access the app unless they sign in. So if we try to go onto the home page, it redirects them to the sign in page. And trying to sign in without having signed up throws an error message. So let's try kabir@gmail.com. I have not signed up to the site and put any password in. You can see that throws an error. Now, if we type in an account that we know does exist, and again, type in a password that doesn't match, again, we get an incorrect credentials error. Now, we chose to throw a generic error not to allow hackers to have a way of learning which email addresses are signed up and associated to accounts. So if we try to sign in with a registered account, with the correct password this time, that allows us to sign in to our app. Now, we cannot, once signed in, you cannot go back to the sign in page. So if we try to go back to that page, it redirects us back to the home page because we've already signed in. We can only go back to the sign in page once we log out, as you can see there. Now I'm going to pass it over to CJ Cassius, and he will go through some other functionality.
Thanks, Kabir. So once we're logged into Plenty of Dish, you can see up here we have a profile on our navigation bar. So if we click that, we can see that the only visible information is currently our name and our email, which is what the user provided to sign up with. But we can see that there's an area here for a profile picture. So we can go ahead and add this by clicking on Edit Profile. Once we click this, we're provided with this screen. Here we can choose a file, which will open up our local machine, and we can find an image that we'd like to use. So let's go ahead and use our Plenty of Dish logo. Open this. Now, once we hit upload, you'll see that our image is now rendered on our page for our profile, and it shows us our profile page. So what about the rest of these fields? Well, we can go ahead and add these as well by hitting Edit Profile. So we're back on this screen, so we can edit our age, our location, our zodiac sign. Sorry if none of you guys are Virgos out there. Eggs as our breakfast choice, salad as our lunch to be healthy, and pizza for dinner, because why not? Dessert choice will be apple pie. Our morning drink is coffee, which I'm sure a lot of you will agree is needed. Our PM choice of poison is white wine, and our guilty pleasure will be Haribo Star Mix. Now, once we are happy with everything we've entered, we just go ahead and hit submit. And we're taken back to our profile page where you can see all the information that we've added is now visible on our profile screen. To show this is also added to the database. I could just show you here. We go back to our Mongo database. If we refresh our collection and scroll down to our user, which will be at the very bottom, we can see all those fields have been added into our database too. Our password is still encrypted, and we can also see where our image is stored. And now over to Kate, who's going to show us a few more functionalities.
So if we want to see other users, we can look under more catches. And if we think someone looks pretty cool, we can match with them, and they'll show up under our pending matches. So here we've tried to match with Nico. So if we log in as Nico, and then we can see it under their matches interested in you. So you can choose to see their profile and find out more information about them. From here, we can choose to either match with them or ditch that match. So here we confirm the match, we like this person, so they're showing up in our bowl mates, and they'll no longer be under our suggested matches. So from here, we can see their profile again, or we can ditch them if we get bored of this person. And another thing we can do is if we match with someone and we don't hear back from them, or they take too long, or we change our mind, we can also ditch them before the match has been completed. And then if we try and match with ourselves, we'll get this little error message saying that maybe you don't need our app if you want to match with yourself. And then over to Anna.
So we want people to find love, and we want people to talk about food. So of course we had to implement a live chat on our platform. So this is a chat section which is open to everyone who joins the app, but we know who you are, you logged in, here are a couple of instructions. So let's join the conversation. Type in your name, save it, and we can see who is online in this common chat room. Now let's send a message, and that message will be shown to everyone who joins the chat. So Anna is saying hello. Now let's see what another person would see as they join the chat. So they can see that Anna is online, she left a message, and now the second person wants to join the conversation. So they're added to users online, and now they can send a message in the common chat area. Now we can see that there are 2 people now, and Anna wants to send a private message just to that second person, so no one else can see it. And we'll let them do that as well. So let's see how private messaging works. Anna can write a name and send a message. Nothing is shown in general chat. However, the second person does get a private message, so you can talk about anything you like. And this is our chat and plenty of dish.
So you've seen our app, and of course, I'm sure you are all assuming it hasn't been smooth sailing, and we'd be lying if we said it has. So we had a few challenges which we faced, but we're going to discuss 2 which we believe were our biggest challenges, which we overcame. The first being initial setup and deployment. Taking learnings from our last project, we decided to implement continuous deployment at the beginning of the project. This proved to be a challenge, as working with different branches and pushing these to master on GitHub could cause the app build on Heroku to break. This meant we spent some time fixing build failures and understanding why this happened. However, we have overcome this, and you can see that we now have a working app which is deployed on Heroku. Our second challenge was picture uploading. This feature was very challenging for us all, and we all attempted this at various points throughout the past 2 weeks. We tested many ways of doing this, including various dependencies and cloud-based storage solutions with no luck. However, we're happy to say that we overcame this, and you can see this working on our profile page. So what about celebrations? Let's go on to successes. So we have 3 key successes here, these being the Avocado team. Having had the joy of working with each other over the past 2 weeks, we already had a great understanding of how we all work together and how we can get the best out of each other. This included coming together for mobbing when we had really difficult tasks, and anywhere we needed pairing where it was necessary. Everyone contributed to the project, and this meant that tickets and cards, which were handed over to another member of the team, were completed to the best of their ability. Using the same framework meant that we were able to quickly and effectively get to grips with the stack and how the inner components worked. We were also able to implement a lot of features which we couldn't previously in earlier projects, and having the opportunity to work with this framework again meant that we could provide these solutions to our working app. This also meant we were able to make a great progress very early on, and this gave us enough time to make mistakes and learn from them without compromising the final app. Finally, our last success is deploying the app to Heroku. A successful working deployed app to Heroku means that we can take what we've made and deliver it to you today to allow you to find your own perfect pair. Thank you for listening, and we were Avocado. This is Plenty of Dish.
Cool, thank you. That was amazing. I imagine that everyone is cheering now, making a lot of noise in their homes, rattling pans, maybe shouting out of the window and making rainbows in your honor. That was lovely. Thank you. And just to reiterate, they learned so much of that stuff on their own. So we didn't at any point explicitly cover, for example, how to handle image uploads. So they took that on themselves and they managed to do it. So kudos to them. I don't know, you probably haven't been to a live gig for a while, but if you think back to that last time when you did, you'll probably remember that what tends to happen is, you know, there's like a warm-up act, and then like the main band comes on and they just start playing, and they don't really like introduce themselves, and then like maybe halfway through, the lead singer will like start introducing the band members. And so that's how I roll as well. I definitely didn't just completely forget to introduce myself at the beginning. This is on purpose. So hi, I'm Eddie, and I'm one of the technical coaches at Makers. I've been here now for a few years, and I've seen 500 people or so come to us and learn how to program. And it's a really, really huge privilege to be able to see people go through that process, see them grow and struggle and celebrate and confide in you. So yeah, that's who I am. I'm not just some random person that's been recruited for today. So, and back to the rest of the band, as it were. The next group are mentored, or mentored perhaps, and they've developed a tool that facilitates interactions between students and mentors. So students and mentors can sign up for an account and start chatting with each other and communicate. And I hope this isn't their subtle way of telling me that I haven't communicated well enough with them. Anyway, I would now like to hand you over to Team Mentored.
Hello, everyone. We are Team Mentored. In our team, we have Jasmine, Joe, George, and John. One of us in the team previously wanted to become a teacher, and from their experience, they felt like there was an app missing. The app that we built allows mentors to connect with students that they're linked to. We ended up with something quite generic that can be used for many different purposes. A new experience for many of us was working in an agile way. We worked in 2-day sprints consisting of planning sessions, daily stand-ups and retros, using Miro's to map out ideas and Trello to keep track of tasks. Since building applications was a new experience for us, we struggled to estimate the time it would take to complete each ticket. Using Trello, we were able to improve our communication, managing tickets accurately and keeping them up to date more efficiently. Due to a lack of time, we decided to time box tasks and create a tech debt column on Trello. When working on tasks we didn't know how to approach, we learned that it was better to take a step back and research individually rather than pairing or grouping on an unknown subject straight away. Using retros, we were able to discuss what went well and what we could improve. This ensured everyone got the experience that they wanted, for example, accommodating a team member who wanted back-end experience and nominating a dedicated Scrum Master. And I'm now going to hand over to Joe, who will talk about our tech stack.
Hello, yeah. So for our backend, we used Ruby and Ruby on Rails. For our front end, we used a little bit of JavaScript and jQuery, along with HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. We used a number of tools in our test suite, RSpec, Capybara, Rubicop, and SimpleCov to find out our test coverage. We used Travis for continuous integration and Heroku for deployment. And we also used a number of gems in our Ruby on Rails project, probably the most important of them being Devise, which we used for user registration and authentication. We all built our sort of technical capabilities throughout the project. A lot of us, we all became a lot more familiar with Ruby on Rails and with the sort of MVC framework and how models, views, controllers, and routes work and interact with each other. We became a lot more familiar with Active Record, which is Rails's object relational mapper. And we became a lot more familiar with how databases interact with a Ruby on Rails app and how databases can relate to, or tables in a database can relate to each other. We all got a lot more used to the deployment process and using continuous integration. We all got a lot of experience with writing tests, and in particular in this project, we started using factories for our tests. We all became a lot more familiar with the process of problem solving and debugging. And we all got some experience with styling and CSS. I'll now hand over to John, who will begin the demo of our app.
Thanks, Joe. Welcome to Mentored. Notice our lovely logo here. We're going to sign up as a mentor, making sure to get the required number of characters as specified for the Devise gem. Otherwise, we'll start to throw errors. So we sign up, and that will take us to the Mentor's dashboard screen, where we can add students that we want to mentor. Notice our autocomplete feature here, which makes it easier for the mentor to add the student. So after, we can then choose how to message the student, either by clicking on the message button or the chat link in the nav bar. We're going to click on the message button, which takes us to the conversations page, and we're going to ask them to check the forum for homework. On this occasion, we're not going to upload a document, and we're going to click send, and then go to the forum, where we're going to create a new category in order to deal with this homework question. We create it, we ask the question, putting it in the homework category. On the forum, the mentor has special permissions. They can edit posts, they can delete posts, and also create categories, as we've just seen. So it's going to ask the student to send the lesson plan. It shows the question, and now I'm going to pass over to Jazz, who's going to talk about the student pathway.
Jasmine, you're muted.
Sorry. But yeah, we're logged in as a mentor, and we can see that Eddie is our allocated mentor, and you can play it now. And we're just in the
Not possible to...
Yeah, I think we just go for it again.
Oh dear, never mind.
I think we need one of those technical difficulties place savers. Okay, I think we're getting there.
we're getting there.
I'll just talk through it again. So we're clicking on the message button, asking the student to go to the forum, not going to upload a file. I'm going to go and click on the forum to see that question that we're about to ask, creating the category. And we've created the homework category. We're going to put the question in the homework category and ask them basically to do their homework, because as we know as teachers, it's really hard to get students to do their homework. So we're going to ask them twice. and we make the comment, we can see the question here, and now we're going to go to the student pathway.
Take two. So we're logging in as a student. We can see our allocated mentor here, and we're going to our chats, and we can see that Eddie sent us a message. And I've been a crap student and I haven't done the homework, so I need to check the forum. And I can see that I need to attach my lesson plan in the private chat. So we'll go and reply again to his message with the document attached. It's just a simple pages document. Once we've sent that, we'll log out and log back in as a mentor and see what it's like to receive a document. So we'll head back to the chat so we can see that we've got 2 replies from the student, and we can click on the file name and we've downloaded it via the Chrome browser. We can head back to the forum and mark the question as solved as we've received the homework that's due. And that's our wrap. I'll hand over to George. He's going to talk about the lessons learned.
You're muted, George.
Thank you, Evan, and thanks, Jasmine, as well. So this has been a really interesting project. It's been a really rich learning experience as well. As such, we've got quite a few lessons learned as a result of it, but I think we've managed to pare it down to some key ones. So I'm going to talk through those for you now. So I think the first thing that we sort of came away thinking on reflection was the need for maybe a little bit more big picture thinking. We had a lot of features that we wanted to implement, and I think it would have been helpful for us to spend a bit more time focusing on the user's journey through the application and how they would interact with certain features. Partly that's also down to our ability to, partly that's down to us not learning a lot in the process and working out how certain features actually fitted together. But I think if we were going to go again next time, we would definitely look at consolidating a lot of our features as well, because we noticed there was quite a bit of overlap in terms of a lot of the features that we sort of put into place. Following on from that, we wanted to probably explore maybe some different gems if we did this again. Ruby has a lot of gems and they impart a lot of functionality. In our first week, we experimented a lot with devise and used that to dictate a lot of our user permissions. And we're aware that there are some other gems that can possibly handle that also. So maybe if we'd done it again, we would have tried a different way. As gems do impart a lot of functionality as well, we managed to accrue a lot of tech debt, which we then subsequently paid off, but then it came back again, so we paid it off again. I think if we were going to go through the project again, I think we'd be probably a bit stricter about how we handled that tech debt with test-driven development as well. Can I have the next slide, please, Alan? Okay. Obviously, this is quite. I feel like this was quite an ambitious project, and there were a lot of features that we didn't have the time to implement, but would have been interesting to explore. One of which was a lesson planner. As you've just seen, we have the ability to upload documents manually, but maybe having something baked into the app, which we'd be able to plan lessons using, would have been interesting. Using Action Cable to create a live peer-to-peer chat as opposed to a static chat, which is what we have, which you will need to refresh the page for. Implementing activities, maybe a local sort of repository in conjunction with the forum for people to upload their documents straight to a special place where the mentor can review them all together. And also maybe tapping into the potential for active storage as well. We used active storage for our document upload feature, but we could have also pushed that further and maybe used it to for uploading profile photos, and also I should probably note as well that we managed to deploy our app successfully, but we did not manage to deploy the document upload feature. And I think going forward, we would be really keen to look at cloud services for hosting document storage on our deployed Heroku app as well. Okay, and that's all from us, I believe. Thank you very much.
Cool. Thank you very much, Mentored. Again, imagine everyone's going crazy and running around the living rooms and shouting and celebrating and signing up to use your app right now. I'm sure they all enjoyed listening to you and seeing your presentation. Thank you. And I love the fact that you're thinking about technical debt just after 12 weeks. That's really like, it's really heartwarming to see you and really to see you thinking about that. It's awesome. And yeah, well done. The final team to present today are the Sharpies, and they have had the unenviable task of learning C# pretty much on their own, and they have done a really, really amazing job of doing that. It's a world apart from the languages that we cover explicitly on the course, which are Ruby and JavaScript. And so they've had to get to grips with some very complicated concepts and some really different ways of working. And at times it will have felt like, I don't know, what is the like normal proverb for like difficult things? Running through treacle, maybe? Is that a thing? Something like that. It will have felt very, very hard. Like suddenly all of these obstacles had just been thrown into their way. And they've just smashed through them. So I would love to hand over now to the Sharpies.
Hello, and welcome to Sharp Flicks. We're a development team of Jerome, myself Chan, Glenn, and Ade. Before we go on to our application itself, I want to talk you through our team charter and team structure. So our team charter was basically a binding contract which enabled us to decide on the best ways of working. So we had a discussion about what a good team looks like, what we expected from each other in terms of constructive feedback, and how we would go about knowledge sharing and learning a new language. In conjunction with that, the team charter also incorporated our personal objectives. So I'd like to start off with Glenn. Go for it.
Hi there, I'm Glenn. I was the lead developer, the backend lead developer for this project. And my main two objectives was to learn a new framework, which is .NET Core 3.1, and understand the process, how we can deploy a application to AWS or Azure instance.
Hi there, I'm Jerome. I work for the BGL group. My personal objectives was to get a basic understanding of C# or further develop my understanding, to implement functional features into the app. I ended up being the lead front-end engineer, and I wanted to integrate an API, which I was successful in doing. I'll pass you over to Ade.
Hi, I'm Ade, and I work for Baze. So my personal objective was to gain a basic understanding of C# and also to learn from both Glenn and Jerome, so I'm able to work on certain tickets independently and get them completed. And I will pass you over to Chan.
Beg your pardon, I was on mute there. I'm Chan, and I was the Scrum Master for the 2 weeks. And my main personal objectives was to obtain a better understanding or a greater understanding of C#, as it was a new language to myself, and to find constructive ways of extracting knowledge from stronger members of the team, such as Glenn on the back end and Jerome on the front end. So with our charter in place and our structure in place, we wanted to work out the best tools to support our agility. With that in mind, we used Slack for a communicational channel. It was dedicated to everything and anything that we wanted to post, so sharing knowledge and starting off our meetings. Our Trello board for t-shirt sizing and prioritization, and our Miro board for brainstorming. Now, over to Ade to discuss how we come about the app.
So as Chan mentioned, our app name is called Sharp Flicks. So we chose to create a watch list for movies, and we decided this because we thought everyone's on lockdown, everyone's going to be bored. So what can we do that will be fun and exciting for people to use? So for our MVP, we decided to create a login functionality, a sign up functionality, and a homepage. And we decided as a team to make sure that we got these completed and make sure they were part of the test before we included any styling or any additional functionality that was basically our extras. In terms of our user story, we had a few user stories we had to go through. We were able to implement a majority of it, but there were a few that we weren't able to implement due to the time frame that we had. So yeah, so I'm going to pass you over to Glenn, who will then talk about the architecture.
So to begin with, we decided that we were going to develop the application using the ASAP.NET Core framework, and the languages for that was C# for the backend logic and HTML and CSS for the front end. And the front end comprised of Razor pages. The frameworks that we used for the actual project was ASAP.NET Core 3.1 for the actual code inside, whether that be unit test or the business logic or the controllers. We used the .NET Core Entity Framework 6.1 SDK for the migration scripts to be compiled. So we used a principle called code first, where you create a model and create a migration script, and then once that migration script has been created, we're able to deploy that to our Postgres database. And for the unit testing, we used the MS Test framework. We had a number of other sort of key services that we had within our application, one of them being AES encryption, which we use for password encryption and validation. Newtonsoft and Swagger. So Newtonsoft is a package used to convert external services that we use for our movie playlist to convert into a JSON file, and we use Swagger as an API feature test. So basically we test our APIs. As part of the source control, we use GitHub for our pull requests and our branches. So this is a rough overview or architecture of our project. We decided to implement MVC, but as we got further into the project, we started noticing a few issues and a few problems with the current setup. So we decided to implement the repository pattern to reduce any dependencies within the controller and the models itself. So we decided to split the business logic to the repository layer level. So what is currently comprised of, we have a view where it's mainly concerned on the front end, what you're seeing as a user. The controllers, there are 4 main controllers: user, playlist, watch list, and the movie DB. These all have different functionalities, and it is a mix of both external services such as the movie DB, which we'll get onto in a second, and a bunch of business logics that we have within inside of the repository. Now, inside of the repository, what we have is we have 3 sets: watch list, playlist, and user. And these are set up in the models. So this forms part of the entity framework that I was talking about a bit earlier on, and the principles of code first. We have set up the list of tables and the column names. Running the migration scripts, we were able to talk to the Postgres database, and in doing so, we can sort of post, get, and do all sorts of things with the actual information to and from the database at the repository level. The services section, we implemented a external service called the Movie DB, where we had an external call to get a list of 20 films. We exported that out as a JSON file, and then at the point within the controller, we then converted that into a enumerable that was shown within our view. I'll pass on to Chan now to pass us through our struggles.
So before we get onto the application, I just want to share some challenges with you. The first being that we achieved the holy grail of losing our work only for about 4 or 5 hours due to our Git repository not being synced correctly. But out of that comes some positives. We learned the value of version control massively, and we learned the value of branching. Second to that, a further less of a challenge, but more of a disappointment actually, was that we couldn't find a suitable platform for us to deploy our application to. But given the time constraints, I believe another couple of days we would have achieved that as well. But that's enough talking. Jerome, do you want to fire up the app?
Sorry about that one. Let me unmute myself. So you've heard our story. You've heard the horrors of this, but we are proud to announce the launch of Sharpflix. So the first thing we'd like to do is welcome you. You've sat there bored and decided that this is what you need. Playlists and watch lists of movies that you have. So first thing you need to do is register for us. So take Sammy here. Sammy has decided that she needs to have an area where she can go see the popular films and add them to a playlist so she can watch later. So let's sort Sammy out. Sign up. Now the first thing we want to do is make sure that our users feel secure. So as soon as Sammy signs in, if we refresh our database, you can see her password is encrypted. I can't see that, and people who manage to get into this, hopefully never, will not be able to see it either. It makes them feel a bit secure. But we'll hold off on Sammy for just a minute, because let's see what an existing user looks like. So take myself. I seem to be quite a fan of Sharpflix, and if we go into my playlists, you can see that I have several here. I can go inside of them, see that I've got a few added already, go into comedies, and I have some that don't have any. So let's just get rid of that one. And you can see it automatically updates my view for me. And then, actually I kind of wanted comedies. So if we go to home, you may notice we have loads of images here. The team did not have the time to go through these, organize them in a fashion that was the popular and constantly keep updated. So we enlisted the help of an API. Thank you to the movie database, which is a free API that allowed us to call the movie titles. They gave us there in the popular order, and we were able to display it from that. So let's add Ad Astra. Let's put it to my greatest films, and you may notice we have several here. These will always be unique to mine. They won't be Sammy's, they won't be anyone else's, because we want this to really feel like this is yours. So let's go ahead and add this. Go into mine, and you can see we've appeared there. I finished with Avengers, made me cry a little bit, let's be honest, and then that's finished. So as we go back, let's take our link here and let's log out, because we'll see Sammy next. But let's try and get back into that homepage. We're going to redirect you to the login because we want it to be as secure as possible. So let's sign up with Sammy. So Sammy is our new user. She gets the same movies displayed. However, they're in the same order. They know the popularity because it's the same API. When we go into it, she can't see my playlist and I can't see hers. Let's give her one. Sammy's hits. Go into home. Let's give her Force of Nature. And again, she'll only ever have hers here. Really wanted to make it unique to her. So, and she has the same functionality as everyone else. So we can delete this, delete the playlist, add a comedy. Let's add Force of Nature again to that comedy, or let's add the Joker as well. Go into this, and she's completely done with these films. Unique films to comedy, six sense of humor. But she can delete them and it will take care of itself for her. So, thank you for watching. We do realize that that does say #Flix as well. It's a very good marketing position on our behalf. Thank you for watching.
Cool, thank you. That was really amazing. Really nice presentation and a really nice product. And true to I was just about to say my cat was about to join us, as is what tends to happen with remote meetings and webinars, but apparently he's decided he's not interested. So yeah, really lovely presentations. Obviously, as I'm a coach at Makers, I have special hacking skills that allow me to do stuff like this. What's going on right now in your homes. That's what's going on, all that stuff. And maybe some of this. Definitely. Probably some of this as well. There you go, enough of that. You're all safe again. So yeah, really, really well done, everyone. That was amazing. And so now we kind of, at the end of the presentations, 3 teams, 3 presentations, and it's time to think about the future a little bit. So let me just get my presentation up again. Cool, here we go. So this isn't the end, this is just the beginning, or maybe it's even just the beginning of the beginning, I don't know. It's definitely not the end though. These wonderful people have gone from, in many cases, really not knowing much at all about programming, to now being able to work independently and build applications. And we hand them over to you now. Now you're their custodians. Some of you people in the attendees list. You're now going to be managing and working with these people. I guess I see it as being a bit like handing over a baton. It's up to both of us to make sure that this handover works well, and it's super important that we don't drop the baton. In this case, these batons are not made of steel or aluminium or whatever it is that batons are normally made out of. They're a bit more fragile, and so it's really important that we look after them. A while ago at Makers, one of my colleagues, Kay, she did some really nice research into what makes a good environment for junior developers, and she came up with these 6 things, and there are also 6 things that we provide at Makers, I feel. There's a really great blog post, so if you look on the Makers blog and search through there, you'll find this. I think it's called something like what a junior developer needs, and it's well worth a read. So what we provide and what we feel they need are high expectations, empowerment and responsibility, a failure-tolerant environment, a steady stream of challenging work, a mountain and a map, and a culture of support. And this is absolutely what we do here. We try to kind of provide all 6 of these things and weave them together and create an environment where people are constantly challenged, where we have high expectations. They know what is expected of them and how to get there, but we also support them when they struggle and create an environment where they can try things and fail and ask questions that might feel silly. And so now it's your turn to carry on doing this. So good luck, and please let us know if you need our support, because we can support the managers too, probably. Cool. Oh, this is a lie at the bottom here. Imagine that you haven't seen this. The thank you is not a lie. But this bit is a lie. There's no Zoom links to share. That's not happening. There we go. I would just like to thank you all for coming along today. Ordinarily, you would have a chance to play with the applications and talk to the teams, but in the world of remote delivery, that's not really possible. That's a bit hard. But the applications are online and deployed, so you could go and poke around and sign up as a mentor or a student, or you could try and find someone who shares your love of vegan, Korean, Italian fusion cuisine, which is actually available on Brick Lane. So yeah, that's it from us. Thank you so much for coming along.